Everybody, and welcome to the first, well, maybe the only live questions and answers. This is going to distract me because I keep feeling like I need to.
I know, we could move
look
this
over
computer
there.
in front of that one or that computer behind that one.
No.
But here's my question: why
We
does
don't
it
need
say
to watch
the
ourselves.
stream is offline?
Because it hasn't come up. It's loading it now.
Oh,
It
now
says-
we're live.
Yeah,
Hello!
but it'll catch it. It'll catch up to us. This is recording everything and streaming. This is going to be like 40. Watch this. As soon as we see it up here, this is from the beginning. I think. Oh no, you were right. I don't know. We are live now. We can see ourselves now. But I'm going to get this out of the way so that we don't.
Look,
Oh, there
People
people
are
are already
talking
on
to
there.
us.
Nice, isn't that fun?
the Hiking Vikings, perchance. Well, hello there, ladies and gentlemen. It would appear we have been stood up by our would-be hosts, the Hiking Vikings. Perhaps
Not
they have
true.
taken that first step out the front door. That's very true. We do like to hike a lot, although right now we are with you. It's 7:58.
Yeah, well, you guys are even early. Here, I'm going to close this out so I don't get more confused. Okay. To let everybody know, the live stream, it's going to be 30 seconds or so behind. So if we're not getting to a question or not reading something right, as soon as you type it, it's because we are a little bit behind, or you are behind us.
So it may have been 7:59 for you when I said it was 7:58.
Yeah, right. So let's read through. So we've got any questions?
So Don Baggett
Okay.
says he has been following our Tucatan videos and he's going to hike the AT next year.
Nice. Yes, do it. For
Do it.
sure.
Do it.
Um,
Best advice? Do it.
And okay,
Do it your own way.
Here, yeah, that's a good one. I think some of the best advice that I could give, and Lucky said it a lot on our trip, is flexibility. For sure, no matter what you do, we planned for our trip for 15 months. No matter what you do, no matter how much planning you put into it, things are going to change, stuff is going to happen, and you need to be able to roll with the punches. You need to be able to take things as they come. And Lucky said, flexibility. When something doesn't work, change it. And don't just be like, well, this is the way I was going to do it. I'm going to do it that way. And I think that's where you're going to get like your best success is no matter what happens, always being able to just kind of roll with it. That would be like my first bit of advice.
And I would say that goes while you're on the trail as well as before you get on the trail. For I'm a huge planner, so before we started,
She did all the planning.
I wanted to make food boxes. I wanted to make mail drops and decide where they were going to be sent, how much food was going to be in each one, so the people at home didn't have to do that for us. But that's impossible.
Yeah.
And we know people who did that, and they got stuck eating food they didn't want. They had too much food sometimes, too little food sometimes. Do that while you're on the trail. There's plenty of opportunity.
That's
To
true.
contact people,
Right,
to
that's-
run to a store and get a meal. You might even have your timing out right, but you decide to head to a restaurant one night instead of eating your trail food, or you get trail magic. So we planned our food while we were on trail. The most food we ever had was, I guess, 7 days, and that was the very last 7 days. Because we had 5 through the wilderness, and then we had an extra 2 days. And when we finished, we had nothing in our packs, no food.
That's true. And the one thing that we had that really helped us is having a home base. Having somebody that's off the trail, somebody that's back home. My mother was crucial to our thru hike because we would just send her, we would find out where we were going, how long we were going to be in between the two, whether we need, 2, 3, 4 days worth of food. We'd write up a list and we'd send it back home. My mom would put everything together and send it to us. It was a lifesaver. It kept us from having to pack, because you can't pack ahead of time. Well, I don't want to say can't. I mean, you can make anything work, but it would be very hard to pack ahead of time when it came to food, because you don't know how long it's going to take you to get from one spot to the other. Weather, injury, all of these things come into play on the trail, and those decisions almost need to be made from the trail. Having some home base, someone back home to work with. What?
I'm just reading the next questions.
Okay, someone back home to work with is really, really helpful. Okay, next question.
Okay, the next one from Chris Hughes says, Sharon, you always seem so positive when hiking. My wife can be such a grump when she gets tired or hungry. We want to know, was there ever a time when you were down and out?
Yes.
New York?
New York and Maine.
Yeah, actually, I have to admit, there were times during the trip where I would actually say, you know, if I just broke my leg right now, I could go home. And no one would blame me for going home. I loved the hiking. I loved being outside every day. The hiking got hard. Nate adjusted to it better than I did, I would say, especially towards the end. And I simply just wanted to go home. I'm a huge homebody. I love my home. I love my family. I just wanted to go home. But there was never a full day where I was completely sad or completely mad. Through
the most beautiful part of this, not the most beautiful, but one of the most beautiful parts of this trip, through the White Mountains, actually through the presidentials, you had a day where you wanted to be left alone. You didn't want to talk to people. You just wanted to not hike with anybody, just to be alone. And that's some
true.
of that too.
And that was also through a very popular area where I kind of got frustrated more with the crowds. I'm kind of a me. I don't know. Nathan's more social than I am. So
it's true.
When we would spend, at the beginning, we'd spend a week in the woods and see maybe 3 other people. And then through the Whites, we saw 500 people in one day.
Oh, it was bad.
And
through the presidentials was very busy.
I was mad at those people. I said,
And there's another thing. This is a fun topic too. Becoming a thru hiker and getting to the end of your hike, we even told ourselves we're not going to be those people that feel like we deserve something because we hiked so far. We hear that the attitude of thru hikers coming into the White Mountains is actually bad because they feel like
they deserve everything.
They deserve to be able to stay at the huts. They deserve people to give you their food because they're just day hikers. We told ourselves we're not going to do that, and no matter what, those feelings come up. The
feelings come up. You just have to kind of control how you act on them. I mean, we went in private and with other nobos like Lucky or Temper, we kind of
day hikers.
Yeah, make fun of the day hikers, make fun of the sobos.
Yeah.
Sobo actually became like an insulting word. Like you're just being a sobo.
There's nothing that is not true.
It is not true. It is not true. It just became frustrating when sobos would complain to us when they've gone 200 miles and we've gone almost 2,000. However,
I'm so tired.
However, if I had to do the thru-hike as a sobo again, I would do it. Sobos are great things. Okay, next question.
Okay.
So anyway, yes, I was somewhat down and out sometimes, but Nathan always makes me laugh, especially when he turns the camera on, because he knows it's for you people, and we want to encourage you to do the trip.
I was funny more often than just for the camera. We did have and that was the one thing that really saved us, is there was times when we were down and out, but no matter what, those days that Sharon maybe had felt down and out, I did my best to bring the spirits up. And the days I had, I was injured in Damascus with shin splints, and never once did I felt so bad about me holding it up. And she helped me through that because I didn't ever feel like I was holding her back. It was we were working as a team, which really helped. And that's what, kind of kept us going.
But I would say that was not reciprocated. Like in the Whites, when I felt bad, he let me know that I was slowing him down.
This is true.
But in a good way. All joking.
Okay.
Okay. Next question. And these are written by Chris Hughes' wife. We should point out, not him.
Are they?
Well, it says, keep in mind that was written by my wife. It says, I want to hear more about Nate's adventure with grabbing the train and how nervous Sharon was at that exact moment. Let me preface this by saying that we get, to this railroad crossing, come off the trail, get to this railroad crossing, and there's a train coming.
And we had 5 minutes to cross the road.
And Nathan says, come on! And me, just knowing how I am, what if I trip? What if I fall? I can see the train coming. I am not going across these train tracks.
Sharon will not walk down train tracks with nothing around. She doesn't want to walk on the train tracks.
I don't want to be hit by a train. Is there a problem with that?
If a train comes, you hear it from, a mile away. So it's not a big deal. But when we were coming up to that train tracks, I've told you before that I've always wanted to grab a hold of a moving train. It's a bucket list kind of a thing. And I knew, in that video, I don't show it as much. There's a 3-minute clip that we have of me struggling with myself because I knew it was stupid. I never should have done it. If I got hurt and we ruined our thru hike just because I grabbed that train, I I don't know what I would have done. I just knew in the back of my mind it was a perfect opportunity for me to try it, and I don't know, I just knew I wasn't going to get hurt. But you were not happy. And that's not the first time I ran over to the train either. She stopped me another time.
I stopped them quite a few times.
Trying to go over there. You wouldn't hold the camera. Hold the camera, hold the camera.
I
now,
was just trying to do my best to
camera.
discourage him from doing it. I don't know. Like I guess we pointed out at the beginning of this conversation, I'm more of a cautious person. I am not going to ever grab onto a trainer, ever give him permission to. So by holding the camera is giving you permission. I mean,
I basically had to throw it in her hands when I started to run over there. I was like, just take this one time, and then I ran.
I wasn't exactly nervous that he was going to get hurt because seriously, this man, anything he tries to do, he does successfully, which just boggles my mind.
It's lucky. Very lucky.
Whatever. But I still didn't want him to do it. It was still dangerous. Stuff happens.
And it was still stupid. But I guess the question was how upset were you about it? And I remember telling Lucky after that, and what did Lucky say? He said I was stupid or something like that. Because Lucky was actually behind us that day.
By a couple minutes.
But that was a great day for me. I was on cloud nine for like a day and a half about just so excited.
Was just skipping down the trail after that, which put me even further behind.
And that wasn't the first train that we had a chance to do that with. But that was the first chance that I actually did it. We crossed another couple train tracks before that.
Well, we did, but there was never a train at the time.
It seems like I had more than one opportunity. Maybe it was after. I will say this. You don't realize how strong those trains really are.
Seriously, he did. It was like he was a doll, just flapping in the wind. It was crazy.
It was fun. Okay, next question.
Okay.
Keep in mind, written by my wife.
And then they also mentioned that it's both of them, but she's the one who admitted she was grumpy, which is understandable.
Gun 1911.
1911.
Well, I just read it 1911.
That's perfect.
Okay. How do you prepare your feet from blistering and being constantly sweaty and such? Well,
after being constantly sweaty and such.
Whatever. You talk about it then.
Get good socks.
Check. Well, and know the socks that work for you.
Right.
This is something, my feet run really, really, really warm.
His feet are sweating right now.
Yeah, and I don't have socks on. But I wore thin, like synthetic dress socks for the entire AT. Even, I did take a pair of like a mid-weight hiking sock for like a warmer sock. To sleep in sometimes because at the beginning we had some 0-degree temperatures and stuff. But even hiking, like when we hiked and did Klingman's Dome, it was miserable cold and slushy, snowing. Yeah, that was a really bad day. But I wore even that light synthetic, just like a dress sock the whole time. My feet were wet, but as long as I'm moving, my feet run so warm. If I wore anything else, I'd sweat too much and I would have gotten blisters. And I never got a single blister. You may have gotten one. We prepared our feet very well. And it was a lot of hiking at the beginning, and then also the right boots.
Exactly.
We knew what shoes we were having. We had 3 pairs of shoes waiting for us. Some broke in. I actually had a pair of Salomons they were brand new. That the trail runners that we ended with.
My trail runners were not broken anymore.
Were brand new. Those.
But for both of us, for those, we bought them about a half size bigger than the size our feet were at the beginning of the trail. It was kind of a luck thing. I knew that people say your feet can grow. I don't think either of our feet grew, but it definitely helped us not get blisters. And especially when we got our trail runners was, up north where it's a lot more steep and you're going downhill and your toes can be jammed to the front. And since our shoes were half a size too big, that didn't happen to our toes. But that's just because they were on sale. We didn't necessarily purposely buy them half size too big.
She'll buy anything if it's on sale.
Anything pertinent. Anyway, so the right socks, the right shoes, and we walked a lot before we actually hit the AT, and not a lot as in, we put in 1,000 miles like Lucky did before he hit the trail.
Lucky did hike 1,000 miles before he stepped
just
foot
around
on the
his
AT.
neighborhood. He's silly. He's in a good way.
Yes.
But we just walked back and forth to the gym every day, and I think that kind of hardened up our feet. And when it was still fall in our hometown, we did a few longer hikes. We did a 1 week long. It was 100 miles, which we did get blisters on, or at least I did. So it's just
You did.
learning your feet and callousing them
Also,
up.
taking the time to allow your feet to dry is very crucial.
Yes.
When you get back to camp, boots off, socks off, allow your feet to dry. They're going to be wet while you're hiking.
No matter what.
Mine,
Even on the driest of days.
you're going to sweat a little bit. I mean, remember what day was that where our feet were like comfortable? Like we're like, wow, our feet aren't sweating. Do you remember that day?
Yeah, it was a day after we had done, like, we had stayed with someone or had been in a town and we had done laundry. And we could actually, our socks weren't sticking to the bottom of our feet.
Yeah, we could move
actually
our feet
curl our toes
inside of our socks.
without the sock being stuck.
It was
That
like-
happened once.
Yeah, your feet are going to be wet during the day and while you're hiking. And that's another thing for at nights. Don't always wrap your feet right up into your camp socks when you get into camp. Allow them to air out and allow them to dry up a little bit. Dry feet are going to promote calluses, which is going to be a good thing on the AT. Wet feet is going to promote new skin growth, and by growing new skin, you have to shed the old skin, which is going to promote your feet to like peel and to have like I don't know how to explain it except for like your feet have that white skin that wants to come off because it's the new skin's growing and that skin will come off. You want calluses, and calluses are they are made with dry.
And I would say if you do get a blister, take care of it right away. You know, change your shoes as soon as you notice that they're not right. Put moleskin on it. Let it air out and dry out at night. Even we saw a lot of people who were slowed down or been taken off the trail by infected blisters, and that's
Griswold.
Yeah, that's something that you
pussy, like heel blisters like this big around that on both feet. She had to get off the trail.
Like when you hear infected blister, you're like, oh, that person's a wimp. No, like these were probably worse than like a broken toe for a hiker because they were.
It was bad. It was bad, and she made it through the Smokies though. She made it through that bad day in the Smokies.
She's a tough cookie. Okay, hardest parts of the trail.
Oh.
From Mr. John I don't know how to say her last name.
McGugan?
Gugan.
Oh, Gugan, yeah.
Gugan.
You've asked us, John, a lot of questions.
You're our biggest fan.
Yeah, really.
And we like that.
Which is great. I mean, it's been great to be able to communicate with like the familiar faces and stuff, and the constant feedback from people, not only on the trail, but even after we've gotten back, has been really fun.
So, hardest part of the trail, I would say for us, from the very, very beginning, we knew we were going to do it. We did not accept the fact that we might not make it. It was just never an option for us. Going into it, I thought the physical part was going to be harder. I would say overall, it was mental. It was, like I talked about earlier, me wanting to go home towards the end. So that was the hardest
and it
part
wasn't
about the trail.
It wasn't, I want to quit, it's I want to go home.
Right.
But
So it was, it was, we want to go home, but for us, the only way to go home was through Katahdin.
Now let's take this question and break it down to like physically,
Yes.
like the hardest part of the trail is, I would say, New Hampshire.
The Whites.
The White Mountains in New Hampshire are going to be your biggest physical strain on your body. If you're going no-bow, it's because, well, not only is it the most physical, it's at the end of your trip and you are at the end of your physical ability. I mean, you've drained yourself, you're calorie deficient, you've lost a lot of weight, a lot of your gear's falling apart, you might not have good shoes. I mean, you're just in that state, and not only that, you're mentally a little bit broken as well, but just, physically ups and downs, roots and poor trail, and it's all wrapped up into New Hampshire is by far, I think, the hardest part of the trail, by far.
But I will say the most surprisingly hard part of the trail
New York.
is New York. Yeah. No one ever tells you about it. They say, oh, the rocks in Pennsylvania. Oh, the whites in New Hampshire. New York is in between. And New York, in the guidebook, it looks flat. But that's very deceiving because and the guidebook even warns you, there are so many minuscule ups and downs. I mean, where you're like physically climbing over rocks and then dropping back down.
And what was
and that just takes a toll. There was one day where we only did like 3 miles in the first 4 hours, and there was another day where we just stopped after 15 miles. We had planned for 20, and we just said, you know what, we're stopping because this is just not fun. And this whole trip was, well, it wasn't all just to be fun, but the underlying theme was fun.
Well, a couple things with that. You talked about our guidebook. Which one did we use? We used
AWOL's.
The AWOL's guidebook. And that's the one that actually does warn you before you hit that section in New York that though the elevation looks flat, because it's such a sharp down and then a sharp back up, it's not even covered in the book.
And it's short and sharp, but
yeah, it's
sharp.
It's 20 feet down, 20 feet back up, then flat a little bit, and then back down and back up. And I think that also was piled onto the fact that Pennsylvania, the rocks at the end did get us a little bit mentally.
The fact that I think of our hiking group, we were the only ones who didn't take a break at the end of Pennsylvania.
That's true. I think that, yeah, we were too, weren't we?
Yeah.
But
between Pennsylvania and New York.
With PA, we slowed down. We thought, all right, we're going to be smart. We're going to hit them rocks in PA, and we're just going to cut our mileage back. And we did. We cut our mileage back to like, 10 to 20, but right around like 13, 14, 15 miles a day through some of that harder stuff in PA. And then the thing that got us in New York is after we got through PA, we got through New Jersey, and we got a little bit of miles back up in New Jersey. We knew to hit our deadline, we needed to really start cranking the miles out in New York State, and that's when we started to pick the miles up, and we couldn't. And it was a mental thing.
It was frustrating.
Not only that, we cut our food back a little bit, and it was a really poor mistake. We tried to lighten our loads so that we could move faster, bump the miles up, and in New York, it just overall hit us. And we had one day, it was like 10 in the morning, and we're like, we just can't go like this. What's wrong with us? We can't make the miles, and I think it was a little bit of disappointment. It's another really good point to bring up to thru hikers is be careful setting goals, because a goal can be a great thing to achieve, but it can be devastating to not achieve.
Especially when you're out there and you think, I mean, it sounds simple to people who haven't done it. You know, the only thing you have to do is hike all day. But it's actually a lot more complicated than it seems. We have to actually find a shelter every night. We have to actually figure out what we're eating and make sure we're not eating too much so we don't run out of food, make sure we're not eating too little so we have enough food. We have to actually find water and clean water. It's a lot harder than, well, it presents different challenges than living in an established world. Where was I going with this?
I don't know. You got off onto that. We were talking.
Oh, because if you fail at one of those things that seems very rudimentary, it's very hard on your conscience.
So what we ended up doing was we stayed away from mileage goals. When we did the Stress for the Dress and in Pennsylvania, we had some mileage goals. But once we hit New York State, we realized that mileage goals, when we didn't hit them, just beat ourselves down mentally and made it a lot harder and just kind of crushes your spirit. So instead of setting like a daily mileage goal, we would just set an overall goal, like we want to get through like a state in a certain amount of days. We give ourselves a lot of time.
Or in Vermont, we wanted to catch Lucky before we left Vermont because he was ahead of us at that time.
Yeah, which is all coming in the videos. We're bringing them out slowly so that we can relive and enjoy them. But yeah, I think New York State is next up in the video. So the next two Katahdin, you'll see our struggle through New York.
You'll see our devastation. Okay, next question.
Oh yeah, we're taking a long time. I think we're still up here.
Yeah, you have to slide up. Oh,
I went too far. Too far. Too far. Hardest part of the trail.
Yeah. You guys were great on the AT. What is next? Asks Charlie Wood. Charles.
Do we want to tell him what's next?
Well, Nathan's always thought about doing another hike, a long hike, maybe the PCT, maybe even just the Vermont Long Trail solo. Just to see if he can be out there by himself for a few days without me.
The AT was a great thing, but I always like to try something new, so my thought process was a solo hike. But I don't know if I would want to be away for as long as the PCT, and for us to have that much time to spend apart is not probably going to happen, so maybe a short trail. Yeah,
for me, I might not get that much vacation time if I really am going to be a doctor.
Because we're going off of in 4 or 5 months. 5 months?
In March.
We're going to be heading to residency, and
then in June residency starts. Yeah.
Sharon's schedule is going to be very, very hectic for 4 years. So that's going to be after, but that's not going to stop the little things. I actually have, I'm going out to Bishop, California, November 7th for a week-long rock climbing trip in the desert.
And I'm going to be here in Philadelphia exploring it by myself.
So
That's
that's
my
something
adventure.
that you can look forward to a little bit. And I'm going to go over, hopefully I get to do some filming on that as well and bring some of that to you, like the trip out. And I'm going out with my brother. This will actually be like our 6th or 7th trip out there rock climbing. And for those of you guys that don't know, since we've been back, Sharon's went back to school, and I've got a job at the rock climbing gym. Basically, I'm doing rock climbing instruction, and then I'm teaching the kids team, like the rock climbing team for the kids. So
So I
it's
guess
been a lot of fun for
what's
me.
next, at least in the next 4 or 5 years, it's probably not going to be any other long hikes. We do want to do residency somewhere a little bit more rural than Center City, Philadelphia, so we can, on the rare weekend off, we can go on an overnight hike. Nathan's always talked about establishing more of a self-sustainable lifestyle. So that'll be, he already bakes all of our bread, and it's delicious.
I like to do
With
anything.
store-bought ingredients, though. So, but no, he often talks about getting a cow and getting some chicken and a pig and finding land with a spring on it so we can generate our own electricity. And if he wants to do that,
It's always been, I don't know, I grew
God.
up on a dairy farm, so as far as the animal husbandry goes, I feel pretty comfortable with that, and I'd like to get back to my roots a little bit, especially after being in Philadelphia for
yeah, he thought
even
he'd
this
like
short-
it. I told him he wouldn't.
I did like it at first, because I'm a people person, and there's a lot of people here, but I'm good on it already. We've been here for about 3 months or so, and I'm pretty good on that. So as far as the next steps, going to residency, and hopefully we get a couple little adventures in there, like this rock climbing trip and stuff. So, and then I'd like to bring more instructional things to the YouTube channel. The Urban Hiker things takes a lot of time to do the videos, and I know I'm kind of slow at that, but we've got a lot of stuff going on as well. So I'm trying to keep up with those videos. Gear reviews. We still have to get through all of the stuff that we brought on the trail, so you can look forward to some of that stuff. Okay, next.
I play a blockhead. Hello,
yeah.
congratulations
Creator
on
B.
1,000 plus. You deserve it.
Thanks.
Thanks. It was hard, but fun and worth it.
Yeah, definitely.
Like a TV soap.
A TV soap? Sharon!
No.
Oh.
Gun 1911.
Oh, you got
talking
Solomon's.
about the shoes after being constantly sweaty and such. He says he loves the Solomon's Quest 4D for heavier loads. The only Solomons I wore were trail runners, but Nathan is a big Solomon fan. I'm more of a Keen person.
What happened?
Kind
Okay.
of just by chance. Laura Luckadoo. I like your
Luckadoo.
last name. I hope it's made up, but if it's real, it's even better. I love the proposal. Congrats. What are the wedding plans? Where are you? What are you doing?
What's that?
Oh,
I forgot. I took it off at the gym.
So we're already married. He's putting his ring back on because he took it off at the gym.
You can't rock climb with a ring because it has a chance of getting caught and ripping your finger off.
So,
But anyways.
We contemplated this. We thought maybe a Cotard wedding. We thought
That became very hard to try to plan, and not all of our family could be there, and Sharon really wanted to have her mother around for the wedding, so...
Then we thought we kind of got our hiking start in the Adirondacks, and there is a mountain there that you can drive on top of. It's
White Top.
easier for our families. So we
That
thought
way we
maybe
can
we'd
get
try
people
to
there.
plan something in the Adirondacks. But it quickly became apparent that, okay, we're hiking the Appalachian Trail. We're not exactly sure when we're going to finish. I have to be back in Philadelphia at the end of July. So my school began in August again. We didn't want to have to pick an exact date too far in advance. So Nathan's father, as he said, he grew up on a farm. His father has this big hill behind his farm, and his father calls it the
We've
mountain.
always called it the mountain. So I figured we could just get married on the mountain. Or
It
no.
was my idea.
It was.
Okay, I distinctly remember one day walking through a big field of, like a field of tall grass, saying, "Hey, Nate."
Actually, and it was right after you're like, oh, look, 4-leaf clover. I'll put
No,
that with my
it
collection.
wasn't that day.
I know, but you...
It was actually, I think it was the beginning of May in Pennsylvania, and we slept at 5
Somehow
on
she
shelter
can
that night.
remember every day of the trail.
But anyway, I
Yeah.
said, "Hey, what would happen, because we were kind of contemplating, we wanted it to be a little bit more private. I said, you know what would happen if we just did it in our hometown on the hill behind the farm? And we did. Mm-hmm. So we got home, we finished the trail on the 12th, we got home on the 14th. I had already bought a dress when I was in Pennsylvania.
And if you if you look at our Two Katahdin Facebook page and flip through the pictures, there's quite a few wedding pictures there.
Yes.
If you're curious to like where it happened and stuff.
Right. So we got home, we looked at the weather, and we said, hey, next Wednesday.
The weather's good.
So I got my dress altered very quickly. We ran up to the nearest bigger town and bought Nathan a suit, had it altered very quickly. And on Wednesday morning, my mother and my sister helped get me dressed. Nathan brushed his teeth and got into a suit. And we met our pastor and a photographer up on the top of the hill, just Nathan and me. And we got married.
Mm-hmm. The only other preparation we did was we went up to the hill the day before to see where the sun rose and what time, so that we knew, because we wanted to do it like the proposal. We wanted to do it in the morning at sunrise. So yeah, and if you want to check out the Facebook page, Facebook.com/Two Katahdin has pictures of the wedding and stuff. You'll have to flip back through some of the pictures,
and then that Saturday after the wedding, we did have a reception, which we had. My mother and my sister had helped me plan.
While on the trail, yeah.
Since Pennsylvania, I can't take any credit for it. They did it all. I told them roughly what I wanted, and they found a venue, they found a caterer, they made and sent the invitations. When I got home, I didn't really take over, but I pretended to.
Yeah, it was funny the amount. As soon as I proposed, that was that was the talk of a lot of the trail, was the wedding and what.
But then once we decided what we were going to do,
you still talked about it, which was good. And it worked out. I tell you, we weren't sure. We went back and forth with the wedding and how many people and everything. And the way we decided, we woke up and basically just got married. Our honeymoon was very planned. Sharon's sister bought us a stay somewhere. She didn't tell us anything about it. She's like, I got you reservations at this place to stay, at this night, and gave us directions, and we just drove there. And on the way there, we stopped and played putt-putt golf. Mm-hmm.
Which we had never done before.
So then we got ice cream. Mm-hmm. Right? We got soft serve ice cream.
Which we had done several times before.
Which we've done a lot. Basically, we had a date. And then we went to a restaurant where we got
we went to a movie.
Oh, yeah, we went to a movie, too, yeah. So we even had that part of the date. Then we went to a restaurant where we ate the first meal that we'd ever ate together. The first time I asked Sharon out on a date, we went and we got buffalo chicken salads.
And I introduced him to dipping buffalo chicken items into blue cheese dressing.
Blue cheese, yep. So we did that and just kind of had this overall date and ended up at this cabin thing that her sister had got us reservations to, and it was really perfect. We couldn't have asked for anything to work out better, and it was, I think, because there was no stress involved, and it was just kind of, hey, the way things happen, a lot of times that's better than all of the planning in the world couldn't have had that come together that way. So
you're already married, but interesting story though.
Okay, you keep talking. I'm gonna read one.
Nathan's wedding ring is the ring that we found on the trail.
Oh yeah.
One day before he proposed to me. Mm-hmm. My rings are a ring from his side of the family, one that was used by his mother and his sister, and a ring from my side of the family, my grandmother's wedding ring. So all of our rings have purpose, mainly because we spent all our money on the AT.
And we were broke. We're still kind of broke.
But we don't mind them having a little bit of extra meaning behind them. And I don't know if we will replace them someday.
I don't think I ever will.
Yeah.
Do we go into more with the story? Did you kind of talk about it in the blog posts?
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit. Okay, so read Sharon's blog and it'll get more into the rings.
Around day 60 was the day you proposed, so day 58 through 60. Because Lucky brought it back to us like at day 80. You have a lot of reading to do.
Yeah, because we lost the ring on the trail, or we left it, and Lucky had to get it and bring it back. It was a whole story.
Okay, so Rob Lansdale, Favorite piece of gear, lightest and heaviest.
Oh, all right. So favorite piece of gear, lightest and heaviest.
My favorite.
Okay, you go. Your favorite piece of gear. I'm not gonna worry about weight right now. I'm just gonna think about my favorite piece of gear.
So I have two. One is so my task at night was blowing up the sleeping pads while Nate cooked dinner. And for my birthday, Nate found something online, but then I ordered it for myself because
She bought her own present.
Doesn't do that. So for my birthday, he told me I could get myself this like.
She called it her blow-up toy.
No, you called it that. I called it my blower-upper.
I called it.
It was this toy. Like basically just tube of fabric from Big Agnes that you can connect to the nozzle on the sleeping pads.
Do we have it here?
Yeah, but it's in the bottom of my pack probably. You just open it, let air go in it, cinch it down, push it, and it puts in like it's supposed to be in like 5 blower-upper fulls. You can fill up your sleeping pad. I was never as efficient at it as they claimed or as Nathan was, but it made it so I didn't go lightheaded every night blowing up 2 sleeping pads.
And they are really, really good piece of gear. Super light.
Oh, yeah, it doesn't weigh anything.
And it's a tube, so by just getting a quick breath into it, you can trap a tube full of air and then squeeze that air into your pad. Also waterproof, you could fill it up with water, hang it from a tree and open it up and you can kind of drizzle water on yourself. It could hold water, you could blow air into it and cinch it up, use it as a pillow. And then when you're not using it, it's a stuff sack. So very versatile piece of gear and also very light.
As versatile as it was, all I used it for was a blower-upper because I quickly got accustomed to not using a pillow on the trail. It was just a little bit easier than having your pillow fall off the end of your sleeping pad every night. We already had enough dry. Oh, that's a good one. We already had enough.
It's got
sacks.
Appalachian Trail dirt on it. Ooh.
You just interrupted me. We already had enough stuff sacks by the time I got it, so I didn't need another one of those. And we just quickly became accustomed to not showering.
Yeah, that's true.
Anyway, Nathan's favorite piece of gear, which is a good one too.
This is not actually. I don't know if it's my favorite, but you were talking about lightest piece of gear. This is just Z-Seat, I think it's called.
Yeah.
So it's from Thermarest Z-Seat. Now, I think it's only 2 ounces. So talk about as light as you're going to get. And what it does is, on the trail multiple times a day, you are going to want to stop and take a break. And to be able to take your pack off and sit down is great. It's a rainy trail. Things are wet. Things are muddy. You pull this thing off, you sit it on the ground, and you can sit comfortably on the ground. Not a lot of padding, but enough that it'll make a tree stump into a seat or just the ground into your seat.
Or mud into a dry spot.
Or when you're loading yourself into your tent, you can put this down and kneel in it if you have to tent somewhere that's wet it has multiple uses and it weighs nothing. So that is probably, I would say, for weight-wise, that's one of my lightest pieces of gear.
My second favorite piece of gear is my pack.
Yeah.
So I started the trail with this discount. High Sierra. 65 liters. Humongous pack that did not fit me right, but heck, I got a deal on it.
Yeah, like I said, she'll do anything for a deal.
And I was insistent upon the fact that it was going to last me the entire trail.
Along with her trekking poles, that did last you the entire trail.
Around southern Virginia, maybe mid-Virginia, I started getting this like lump on my back. It was a soft tissue, probably just a seroma, just a liquid-filled area of soft tissue.
I called it her fin.
It was my fin. I mean, right in the spine
just
of my back.
Irritation on her spine.
Stuck out. I mean, and it stuck out a good inch and a half.
No. Maybe a half inch. I mean, it was...
Okay, well, it felt really big. Luckily, now it's gone. So
but it was just from her pack rubbing on her. So,
yeah. And then my pack started digging into my shoulders funny.
Because it was a piece of crap.
Yeah. So when we were in No, it wasn't Waynesboro. Dalesville, Virginia. We actually happened to be there on a day where their gear store had a sale. Mm-hmm. So I was actually going to buy myself a new pack, but they didn't have the right size for me. I've always considered myself kind of a tall person. I'm about 5'9", but I need an extra small to a small pack because I guess my legs are long and my torso is short. So
Which
all
is
they have
something
is
definitely to consider when buying packs. Always try to get something and make sure the size is correct. A
Even
good
if
adjustable pack helps because everybody's a different size, and the way your pack fits is so crucial to it being comfortable while you're hiking.
right. So
Ooh,
I
one
went
more
to this.
point. While I'm on this point, because I like giving information too.
Let's do it.
When you're hiking, I never stopped adjusting my pack. Your pack is going to fit a little different every day depending on what you're wearing. Never set your pack in one spot of adjustment and think, this is exactly perfect. This is how I'm going to wear my pack always. Because you'll find that a little bit more tight, little loose here, pull on the load lifters, a little less on the load lifters, waist a little tighter. Actually, on the AT, the waist is always going to get tighter until you run out and you have these big long tails of strap. But yeah, always keep adjusting it. You never know. And if you find something that you think is right and you keep going and it hasn't been, it's not fitting right, and you just think, well, that's the way it fits, there's always a little bit of an adjustment that can make it feel a little better. I was constantly adjusting my pack through the whole hike.
Okay, so anyway, I ended up getting fitted for my pack at this gear store, but they didn't have my size. So I ordered it online. Actually got a better deal when I was at the gear store. And it's the Osprey... I'm going to check the exact name.
Ariel.
No, it's not.
Or...
Oh, what is it called? Is it the air? It's the Ether, isn't it?
I got the Ether. That was a question, too. While she's looking up that, I had a question from... Oh, I can't think of his name now. What pack I used. I used the Ether 60, Osprey's Ether 60. You can do a lot of research on them. I literally went with Osprey for one major reason. They're lifetime warranted. With the AT, you're going to beat up equipment. No matter what I do to that pack, the straps break. No matter what, they will replace parts. And that's the reason why I went with it. Now, there's a lot of other benefits as well. Very adjustable. The fit is very good. I mean... So I guess there's better pros, and I plan on doing a gear review on that that piece of gear in particular as well. But someone did ask, what pack that I did use, and it's the Osprey Ether 60.
So I used the Osprey Ariel. I think it is the Ariel. It doesn't say. I always thought it said on the pack, but it was only 50 liters. So I went from a 65-liter pack to a 50-liter pack, which adjusted the way we packed our gear, and that's an upcoming question, but there's a few questions in between. So we'll get to that.
Okay.
Sharon, this is by A. Pulley. Sharon, I am a woman planning to solo hike next year. Do you think you could have hiked it alone? There were a lot of... Okay, scratch that, not a lot. There were a handful of strong women who made it through the trail on their own. Definitely less females than males, but... not only a few. I mean, there was Eddie. There was Temper, who...
Red Feather, the Olympian.
There was Red Feather.
But she could have done it with her eyes closed, blindfolded.
There was Kashmir.
Why would she be
Griswold was planning a solo female thru-hike, but she had to kind of get on and off throughout.
Yeah, her situation wasn't the same. I guess...
That's probably actually
one thing that I would ask, and maybe you could type it in there lower down, are you going Nobo or Sobo? Because that would be...
And when do you plan to start? I mean, even us Eddie starting in February, she was always with someone. She found a few different groups. Unfortunately, we kind of left her behind in Virginia when she aquablazed and then went back to the beginning of the Shenandoahs and went on foot all the parts of the trail that she aquablazed so that she could be a true thru hiker. And then she was just a week behind us, and unfortunately, we just never got connected again.
There's a couple points that I'd bring up, but you can go first.
Yeah, so even if you start that early, you're going to find other people to hike with. If you want to, you don't have to. As a female hiker, I would definitely take Eddie's advice and kind of come up with a name that people can't really tell you're a female.
People check the logbooks, not just hikers check the logbooks.
Yeah, and then always follow your gut. There were times when I was always with Nate, so there were times when I was wary of people, but I always knew that Nate was there. There were times when we were hiking with Eddie, and she would get really wary of people, and we would think she was crazy. But then again, I had Nate
soul train and caboose.
Yeah.
The most awesome trail names I ever came up with in my life. It was a father-son. The son had the soles of his shoes falling off, and his father was always following him. So I called the son Soul Train and the father Caboose.
Anyway, so follow your gut with that. As a female hiker, you're no different than a male hiker. And you really aren't. As far as strength, you're actually, I would say, a little bit stronger in the endurance field. Probably a little bit smarter, a little bit better at planning and being organized.
Are you done?
I would say, though, personally, I couldn't have done it alone the way we did it because we did carry a lot of each other's gear. We split the gear up differently. We actually talked a few times about if one of us had to get off the trail for injury, could the other go on? And it would have to be a total gear switch in some instances. So, personally, I couldn't have done it alone because of the gear. And it probably would have been a little bit more difficult mentally for me personally if Nate wasn't there every step of the way. But if I had started out alone and not expected him to be there every step of the way, I probably could have done it alone with the proper gear.
Yeah.
But if that's what your goal is, you'll definitely do it. That just wasn't my goal to do it solo, but it's definitely doable.
For sure. Two things real quick. Back to the other comment about the heaviest piece of gear. I think, because we said lightest and heaviest, I think that we could both agree that our tent was very heavy, but it was a 2-man. We shared it between 2 people, but we loved a tent. We loved our tent.
Yeah.
I'm going to cut it off right there. But back to the solo thing. I think solo goes just as much with females as males. Solo hiking is not what everybody typically thinks it is. Because of the amount of people that thru-hike or hike the AT in general, not just thru-hikers, day hikers, weekend hikers, section hikers, you are constantly, I think, the very beginning of our trip in February from Springer, we had maybe a week-long section or so where we weren't running into too many people. From then on out, we're constantly running into people. That doesn't mean that you're hiking with them, but you can definitely be shelter hopping or campsite hopping with a group, but hiking alone. During the day, everybody kind of separates and hikes their own hike during the day. But for the most part, the campsites and shelters are separated. And when someone leaves a shelter, they are going to have a 14, an 18, or a 22-mile option. And most people are going to generally take the 18-mile, depending on how everybody hikes. So a lot of times you're going to end up with someone at camp. Or at nighttime, that kind of a thing. But during the day, you can strike out on your own. But no matter what you do, you're going to be hiking with other people. And I think Sharon's point about being just trusting your gut with other people, you'll tend to see some people that are maybe a little wishy-washy. And that's where you say, okay, I need to just go ahead and get off the trail here. Let these people, either get ahead of me or hike faster to get ahead of them. Just hike a couple extra hours that day and the next day, and now you've put miles between you.
And whether male or female, don't necessarily ever tell people that you are hiking alone. Say, oh
That's
yeah, my friends are up ahead of me, or if they're going the opposite direction, say, oh, you'll see my friends behind me.
Because you will meet people, and you'll have people that are hiking around you, and that's another good thing. When you do find people, and not to interrupt, but when you do find people, and especially people that you've hiked with for a while and you trust, go ahead and exchange information. It's nice to have be able to contact people ahead and behind you if you forget something on the trail, or for any reason you need to, which we did, for any reason if you need to contact people, it's nice to know. And you have those names, so when you meet a stranger, you can say, yeah, my friends, or have you seen this person? And then, like Eddie would say, never give people your new people exactly what you're doing for that day. Oh, I'm hiking here. Just be vague about what you're doing. Specifics. Eddie was to the point where when she would post things on Facebook, she would wait a couple days so that she wasn't giving an up-to-date itinerary on Facebook of what she was doing. So if anybody got onto her Facebook page, they would know exactly where she was. So, by delaying that a little bit, and not just
very smart.
It was very smart, but just don't put all of the information out there for everybody. But okay, let's keep going through the questions.
Rob Lansdale again. Greatest trail angel experience. Oh, Okay.
Greatest
trail angel experience. We actually have a lot more comments. So it'd be faster with these.
Yes.
I know you're going to say Vicky.
No, Vicky was our most elaborate one. She took us out to dinner, and she...
Vicky was right around
Washington
Harper's
Monument,
Ferry.
yeah.
Harper's Ferry, which I wrote about. Vicky was awesome. Vicky was
intense.
Very intense. Very she emailed us and she said, I'm going to have sandwiches set up, you know. Maybe you guys will be through the Washington Park. And I said, Washington State Park or something. It's in Maryland. So I said, okay, we'll be there.
I was just going to say, they can read about that in the blog if you want to get more on that. But I don't think that's really our greatest one.
Okay, that's true. What's your greatest one? Then fine.
Not the greatest, but the one that, some of the ones that really stick out is when Crocman brought us the spot back.
He's not a trail angel. He was another hiker.
That was still pretty trail
I'm just trying
angel-y.
to be difficult.
Okay, we were kind of stalked into a town one time by a creepy guy who...
Which I just wrote about and published today.
Said, so read that last blog, that said that he worked for, like, anti-government or something.
He worked for the government, but he taught anarchy, or is that the right word?
I don't know.
Okay.
He was a weird dude, and we came right up onto him fast, and when we walked by him, he kept right up with us, so it was strange. We got into a town. We needed to do a little charging, get some food. We sat down and ate carb pizza. It was just like pizza with carbs and carbs
it was
and
Ziti
carbs.
pizza.
And to make the story a little bit faster, we had both went to the bathroom, and I remember going to the bathroom and walking by this mother and her daughter and hearing the daughter going, "They're both limping," because your feet are going to hurt the entire trail, enough said. So when I come back out of the bathroom, this lady is kneeling down by Sharon and talking right here to Sharon.
As Nathan was in the restroom, she came up to me and she said, "I just watched the movie Wild." And I said, "Oh, okay. I've now seen the movie, and my opinions on that are different." But anyway.
Don't watch the movie Wild for a PCT or a thru-hiking video. It's a very dramatic movie, but I don't think it's really...
Anyway, so we had just planned on tenting in the city of Unionville that night, but she saved us. She said, "Oh, you can tent in my backyard, come back, do your laundry, take a shower." As I was in the shower, it started pouring. Nathan sweet-talked his way into her allowing us...
Sleeping on the floor.
Yeah, to sleep on the living room floor. So we stayed dry, and we stayed away from creepy government employee who taught anti-government.
That was pretty good trail magic.
That was pretty good trail magic. But there's so many. It would be...
Oh, the cookies from Styles and them. That box of trail magic was awesome.
How about at the, Vermont, New Hampshire line, when we stayed with Betsy for a day?
Oh, we stayed with 2 days.
She
opened her door and we stayed there
we
twice.
Did. We spent 2 nights, didn't we? Wow.
2 nights. She fed us.
She basically adopted us for 2 days.
Yeah,
complete stranger.
Complete trail angel, because she never asked for anything and she wouldn't accept anything. Yeah. There's a whole story behind that. Check out, it's Betsy, right?
Yeah.
Betsy, when you're getting across into New Hampshire, she's known for her watermelon out front in the cooler. Throughout the entire season, she always has watermelon in a cooler out in front of her house. She is amazing.
And it's directly on the trail, because you walk right through town there. Okay.
Sharon, you want to sneeze?
Wait, what?
He says, "Make you sneeze."
Oh, making me sneeze.
It's from Charlie Wood.
But that's not the next one.
Oh, did I go down too far? Oh, I went down too far. I'll make her sneeze.
No, I do sneeze, but not because of him. Okay, so John Blank also says, when you get back into Corey, which is our hometown, ask Brian Thompson how to say my name. Because we couldn't John McGuigan.
McGulligan.
You know what? We're on a first-name basis. John.
Hey, John, what's up?
Okay. Rob, again, assuming you split up carrying pieces of gear, example, tent and poles, what is one piece of gear you tried to get the other to carry? The heavier food bag. The heavier food bag. We each had a food bag, and
this goes along with like how we packed our bags too. So this is a good conversation.
So we tried to. Actually, Nate's pack was always a little bit heavier than mine because he carried the sleeping bags and the tent. I ended up carrying more water, but that was a little bit more variable throughout the day. So Nathan would always give me the heavier food bag. And I mean, literally, my bag would be 25 pounds of food, and his would be 2. And I got really mad.
This is not true.
That's
that
not
was
true.
Completely
That's not true. It'd be like 10 pounds and 12 pounds, probably.
I would say we really tried, and it wasn't so much trying to pawn off different equipment. We had a specific way of packing gear, and our way of packing gear left us the one variable, which was food and water, to use as an equalizer to bring ourselves to the weight that we feel like we both wanted. Sharon was always 5 pounds or so, maybe 10 pounds at some points, lighter than me, but we used food and water to balance that out.
And once I got my smaller pack, I went from a 65 liter to a 50 liter, was when we really had to, because usually I would carry my own sleeping bag and he would carry his own sleeping bag. Well, when I went to that smaller pack, my sleeping bag wasn't fitting. It was more efficient for us to pack
the denser stuff.
The denser stuff in Nate's
with
in my pack.
You needed the denser stuff because you didn't have as much room.
Yeah, and Nate got the bigger stuff.
Yeah, so basically with the packs, just to go through that, when we got our summer bags, I would carry both sleeping bags with the tent and the poles. I kept the tent underneath. What else did I carry? That was the majority of what I carried. That was heavy enough, and I would pack
your
clothes
on around it.
Clothes on top and food on top, or clothes around it and then food on top. But that was basically what I had. You had all the electronics.
I would do jet boil.
It's bad because I can't remember
our
it
food
as
containers, and I had the 2 sleeping pads down the outside on the bottom, the jet boil in the middle, and the food containers kind of in front of the jet boil. And then I had my clothes in there. No, and then I had the electronics bag, and then I had my clothes in there.
What'd you do underneath?
And then food. I don't
have it underneath. Yeah,
I don't have a separate sleeping bag compartment, so I was just one
it's
big
weird.
set.
I never used my sleeping bag compartment for my sleeping bag. I used it for the tent,
which was great because if the tent was soaking wet.
Well, not only that, when you get to camp, the first thing you want to do is get to your tent, and I could open the bottom up without ever opening my pad, pull the tent out, set the tent up, first. Instead of, I don't know why they always wanted your sleeping bag to be so accessible. You don't get your sleeping bag out until the tent's up anyways.
Until you have a shelter. One thing that really annoyed Nathan was that the little Z seat he was showing, anytime we sat down for a break, we would both pull our Z seats off and sit on them.
When we would go to sit down, we would take our packs off. We would both individually remove the Z seat from our own packs and sit down. Then I would get up, attach the Z seat to my pack, and put it on. Sharon would get up, put her pack on, and then look at me.
And I'd hand him my Z seat, and he would clip it into my pack. They sat on the outside of our packs. I didn't see what the big deal was. He got really sick of clipping my Z seat in, though. I don't know why.
You will be surprised. There's so many things on the trail that you could probably get upset at, but in order to keep everything going, you let a lot of stuff slide. For some reason, little things can get you.
But it was still, we
it
never
wasn't
really
that,
fought.
we never funny. Really. But I can remember actually getting frustrated. It's like, why didn't you just put that on your pack before you picked your pack up? Why do I have to attach it?
Because you're my now husband, and you do stuff for me. Okay. Chris Hughes and his wife, I'm assuming, want to know. Whatever happened with the clips that were for the school that you made a few video clips of?
We found out that we bit off a lot more than we could chew.
Yeah, it was really hard to do the blog and do the videos. As you can tell, we're still finding
time for that.
Yeah, struggling to find time for
that.
that.
And then hike the trail.
And do the kids' videos. It was actually great, though, because the teacher we were working with would pull clips out of
our YouTube
videos. And she actually has expressed interest in also doing that next year.
Yeah.
Just continuing to pull stuff out. And now that we're a little bit more free, we can even interact with the kids and a little bit more if she wants something like that. That's something we could talk to her about.
Yeah, and it was disappointing, and I remember struggling with it on the trail because not only fighting for just energy itself, I felt like I was kind of letting people down. But
it was good to hear that she was able to use footage.
And I don't think that they ever felt that way, but I always kind of felt that way a little bit. And the other part was, they, in a way, it was the people of you guys watching the videos and the kids watching the videos and knowing that people were watching us. That was a lot of the drive as well to keep going. Is and even though you don't say it that way, it's like, well, we don't want to disappoint people. So I was banking on everybody watching to help motivate me, and I felt bad because we weren't able to bring more videos for the kids. So that's what happened.
It was awful because we would say, oh, let's do a video on this, and then we would get maybe halfway through recording it one day and then think, oh, we only need to record this much further. And like I kind of alluded to before, it seems like it'd be really easy to find 30 seconds in your day to do that, but it actually is a lot more difficult when you're out there, with your 2 legs in your tent.
And technology doesn't always work so well.
Yeah.
Okay, next question
is... Have you ever... Gun, 1911, again, asks, I wonder if it's supposed to be 1911 or 1911. Let us know. Have y'all ever thought of doing a Go Ruck challenge? Not sure what that is.
I don't know what
idea.
Go Ruck challenge is. Yes, I want to do it. I don't even know what it is. I will do it.
But I've never thought about doing it until right now.
That's true. I have thought about doing the challenge.
So
what do you say? Yes? Yes to
I
the
don't say
challenge?
yes. I've just said yes, I've thought about it.
I'll do it. I don't even know what it is.
That's a little too risky for me.
Adventurous.
All right, Chaz Wood, or Charlie. I'm sorry if you don't prefer Chaz or like Chaz. Making Sharon sneeze was the funniest. It was hilarious.
It was. And we actually still get, we will still die laughing watching that.
Yeah, we watched it the other day when about 2 weeks ago when he was preparing that video, and I probably peed my pants. That's a lie. I say lies a lot.
Chronofire, congrats on 1,000 subs, buddy. Hey Viking wife. It's hiking.
Hiking and Viking.
And together we're the Hiking
Vikings.
But thanks, buddy.
Thank you. And hi. Nice
hi.
to see you.
Kind of.
Kimberly Martin asks, Laffy Taffy. Who took the frog's car?
Oh, who took the frog's car? The ribbit robber. The robbing ribbit. The hoppy...
I'm going to say the car hopper. No! I know who it was.
Oh,
it wasn't something to do with towing, but it was something to do with toading. Like the toad truck.
The toad truck.
Yeah, something like that.
We did it. Sharon did it. I didn't. I'm awful
I don't know
at
what the
them.
answer is, though, because
the toad truck.
Later on, Kimberly Martin types 63.
It's the number on the Laffy Taffy, maybe.
Maybe. Kimberly Martin is my sister, so we'll find out.
Okay.
John Couch. Do you think Lucky lost a ring so that you could find it? Okay. So I guess we need to explain the story.
Okay.
We were at a shelter, and it was the night before Nathan wanted to propose to me or something. And my father's passed away, and he wanted to ask for permission. So he kind of just, looked up and said, can I marry your daughter or whatever.
I just asked because I didn't know what else to do. I wasn't going to text her mother. We are this close to each other all the time. I could never really get away with it. So I just figured I could ask her father. And I was having a hard time coming up with a ring. I had tried making rings on the trail, and that was to no avail.
Because he knew he was going to use this engagement ring, but he didn't bring it with him.
Yeah. So as far as the ring for Sharon, it's very hard to whittle out the top of an acorn without them cracking. I'll just leave it at that.
Anyway, so after the morning after the night that he asked, he found a ring in the mud. And we were at a shelter with about 4 other guys, and it was nobody's ring. He came up to me and he said, what should I do with this ring? It's obviously a man's wedding ring. And I said, well, I guess leave it here. There's always nails stuck randomly in shelters to hang stuff.
My heart's beating and I'm going, no, this is a sign. I mean, it's exactly what I was asking. I found, literally, there was a shiny corner of the ring sticking out of the mud by the fire pit. I walked by it, saw something in the ground, and I dug up this ring from the ground on the trail. And when I asked Sharon what I should do with it, she said, leave it here.
And he did?
I was I didn't know what to do. We asked the people that we were with, and no one seemed to know what the ring was. So
after he proposed, he told me the story about the ring, and I said, we have to get the ring back. So like we were talking about before, we texted people behind us. We texted Eddie, we texted Stretch, and we texted texted Lucky. Stretch was off the trail.
I don't know
Stretch was ahead of us. That's how we found out. Stretch was ahead of us in Daleville.
Oh, that's true.
Eddie got our text too late. She got it like a few hours after passing the shelter, and we couldn't expect her to
and
go
the
back
shelter
and get
was
it.
like 2 miles off
It
trail,
was like
too. It was
0.6
awful.
miles off, but I think it was really
And
like
the
a
only
mile.
reason why we went there is because it was a thunderstorm.
We ran through lightning, and I saw pink flashes in front of my face, like directly. It was probably
She was scared.
one of the scariest things ever.
Anyways.
Anyway, but Lucky got back to us, and he said, "Oh yeah, I've got the ring." And then we texted him our proposal video that Nathan so slyly captured, and he said, "Oh my gosh, is this the ring?" And I said, "Well, it's not the ring, but it certainly has a story behind it." So he grabbed it for us. In transporting it to us, he lost it once, and it was returned to him.
That's funny.
And it made a permanent mark in his phone. It scratched the cover of his phone.
Yeah, his phone, the screen on his phone, because he put his valuables. Everybody in this world should meet Lucky at least one time. But he put all of his valuables in one pocket. It was a zippered pocket. His phone, at this point in time, the ring, and his wallet all went in the one pocket. Well, they got the ring sandwiched in there, and it rubbed a circle onto his phone. So he's permanently affected by the ring. But hey, that's the ring story.
Okay, so A. Pooley, the one who asked about the female solo, she's flip-flopping in May. So that's actually pretty good. You'll see a lot of people, and that'll be great for you.
The one thing awesome about a flip-flop, too, is you may meet people on one end of it, and then meet them your flip-flop.
We crossed paths with a few flip-floppers a few different
We met a guy named
Slapshot.
His trekking pole was a hockey stick, and we met him back in Virginia, I think. Tennessee or Virginia?
It was in the Shenandoahs. It was in Virginia.
Virginia, and we didn't see him again until Maine.
Until, like, the end of the 100-mile wilderness.
Looked completely different. It was shocking.
But it was so fun, and that's the weird thing about the trail. You know, we had stopped and talked to him for maybe 20 minutes the first time, but when we saw him in Maine, we recognized him because of his stick, his hockey stick.
Well, no, not only that. It was, when we were going through Maine, people knew who we were.
Yeah.
And it was because he was ahead of us talking. Someone brought up the name of, our trail names could be the Hiking Vikings. And,
and he said,
Slapshot was like, you can't do that. People have already used that name.
Yeah.
But that's just neat. And that's the community that is out there. So when, like you said, you're going solo, you'll never be alone on the trail. Unless you really want to, I guess.
Kimberly Martin's response, it was towed.
It was towed. The towed truck is better.
No, I like it was towed. Like, who stole the frog's truck? It was towed.
It was towed.
It was towed. That's awesome.
Oh, that is really good.
But, I mean, I got the gist. Anyway, so, flip-flopping is great. Mm-hmm. It's a great option. And you're no less a thru-hiker. I think it's awesome.
At the end of the trail,
you've walked the same.
You've walked the same. The only thing I'll say about flip-flopping...
Where are you finishing? Yeah. It's a little anticlimactic. If you're finishing in Harper's Ferry, it's a building.
Katahdin is one of the most amazing feelings. And to finish on Katahdin...
Yeah, but you know what? We've never finished anywhere else. So it might just...
It may have just been the...
It might have just been like, oh my gosh, I'm done. I'm on Springer Mountain, and I have an easier hike down. That's actually kind of smart.
Okay.
Alan Lyons points out that many people start solo but find a trail family, men and women. Very true.
That is absolutely true. And I think you can almost... I think you almost can't get... like, what am I trying to say?
You can't get through it alone.
You can't... You will meet people. It's impossible to go through and just do it solo. If you want that more of an experience like that, look for the CDT. That's a little bit less... If you want a solo experience, do the North Country Trail. Nobody hikes that. I mean, I think there's been 4. We know Attrition, a guy that we started the AT with, finished the AT, and he is winter hiking the North Country right now. It's what they say he's doing. But he's looking to be the 5th person to ever thru-hike the North Country. So if you're looking to be alone, do that, because you'll never be alone on the AT.
Okay. Rob Lansdale asks, when did Gator Miller started getting really ahead of you, and do you still chat? So the last time we saw Gator was in Hot Springs, right? Right.
They slept under the bridge. Him and Tadpole slept under the bridge.
And because we didn't think they kind of surged ahead of us at the end of the Smokies, and we didn't think we'd catch up to them again.
Did we?
But we saw them in Hot Springs. And we saw them.
We saw them after Hot Springs.
Yeah, it seems like we saw them again.
We met up with just Gator, didn't we? No. Because we left Hot Springs before they did.
We all left on the same day. We all only stayed the night.
That rainy day?
Yeah. But they just went further than us that day.
It was very
we only
early.
Did 12 miles out.
And it was basically, wait, how about Damascus?
We didn't see them in Damascus. I saw Orange Crush. I think it was
Hot
Hot
Springs.
Springs.
It was very early in
And
the trip.
I guess he didn't pull too far ahead of us then, but I remember,
It was after.
I remember being in Pennsylvania right after the half-gallon challenge, and he was 100 miles ahead of us.
Yeah.
So that was when we really realized that
we gave
he
up
was
on
gone.
ever seeing it. And
He
it
was
was
gone.
it was too bad because we got close enough. We did keep in contact as we were hiking as well. And also, Gator's mom has been in contact with us through the YouTube and stuff like that. And also while we were on the trail, and was going to do some trail magic for us when we got into New Hampshire, but
Yeah.
it never ended up happening.
Yeah.
But I would think it would be awesome to meet up with Gator.
Yeah.
It would be great.
I guess you haven't chatted with him in a while, but we finished
Occasionally
the
we'll send
trail,
a message
yeah.
back and forth, but
Yeah.
not a whole lot.
Stephen Groves. How much money would you say you spent altogether during the thru-hike?
Okay, let's eliminate one thing. Let's eliminate gear. Gear is something that happens beforehand, and gear is so up and down. You can spend a lot on gear, you can spend a little on gear. There's a guy that is a triple crowner that made every piece of gear that he used. So gear is a hard one to do with money-wise, but we can be a little bit more
On the trail,
food. And lodging.
Starting
and stuff.
in our 4th week, we were in the Smokies when we made this rule. We said, let's give ourselves $100 a week. Was it $100?
$150.
It was. It was $150 a week. And we stuck pretty well to that. However, that doesn't calculate in shipping costs for mail drops or any food that we had not previously purchased that was sent to us. That was about altogether a $500 bill at the end for shipping for mail drops and food.
Yeah, you also have to understand that we are very frugal.
We are.
Very
So
frugal.
in my latest blog, I complain about spending $30 at a gas station for food for 2 days. I mean, that's really $15 a person for food for that's $7.50 for food for a day. Like,
we
that's not
would
that
get
bad.
mad at stuff like that.
Yeah.
So if we were to average that, even at the $150 a week between two people, $75. I mean, that's, what is it? Just over $1 a day in food, right?
Yeah. Yeah. $75 for 7 days. And that included lodging. I mean, that was
$10 a day.
yeah. That included lodging.
She's a doctor. I am really smart.
No, he's not.
But yeah,
that included lodgings. That was everything we spent the entire week. I mean, except for gear. Like when I bought my pack, it came out of a gear fund, which we each got $500 for gear on the trail, but we didn't even come close to using that.
No. And then I would say, and I think for like the average person, they say if you expect to spend like $2 to $3 a mile, it's probably pretty close. So you're looking at that $4,000 to $5,000 range for a single person.
Yeah.
We did it for about that between the two of us.
Right.
But we pinched pennies.
So
we made a lot of food before we left. I mean, we really cut corners to try to save money.
At about that 1 month mark when we said $150 a week from here on out, that was when we figured we had 20 weeks left. It really took us 21 and a half weeks from that point. So we gave ourselves $3,000 for weekly budgets and then an extra $1,000 between the two of us for gear. So that'd be $4,000 once we were actually on the trail. Throw in another, we'll just say $500 from, well, I guess we'll make it true. We'll say $600 from the first 4 weeks. So $4,600 for two people, which is kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, that was very inexpensive.
No, plus the $500 in like extraneous food drops. So about $5,000 for two people.
I would say you're going to look towards that for a single person.
But
if
hey,
you can do it for
you
$4,000
can
or
be
$5,000.
more frugal.
Yeah, and you can. There is ways. I tell you what, I was going to do YouTube videos, and I'll put one out there. I was going to do buffets on a budget.
Oh,
You'll
yeah.
get caught up
This
getting
is-
into town and spending a lot of money. One of the ways that we saved money was we would think about the food that we wanted getting into town, and we would try to find out what's the best way that you can eat as much food for the cheapest. Buffets are great, but buffets are normally like $9-12, you know.
And you can sit there and eat it for 2 or 3 hours, but eventually
We spent
it's just
3 hours in the Ming Gardens eating that buffet over and over and over again, because you eat for a second, like for 5 minutes you're full, you have to wait. But for example, if you go to a Dollar General or a Save-A-Lot, you can get a $1 package of hot dogs and a $1 package of buns, which means if you get 2 of them for $4, you can eat 16 hot dogs. That's a lot of food.
Yeah.
So there is other ways, and I thought about going over that, like all of the ways on the trails that you can really pack in a lot of food for little cost. I think I'll still do that video.
Another thing that we did in our first few hotel stays, but then kind of got out of the mode of doing this, is we would take hotel food for trail food sometimes. Like if they had bagels for breakfast,
And we're ashamed of it.
I have smushed 6 full-size bagels down to fit into one sandwich bag. It is possible, people. And it also saves money.
And I tell you what, you pay for that hotel breakfast.
You do.
They say
it's not
you
stealing.
pay for it. Yeah, exactly. So, but how about that one place where they were mad because I went back in there?
Oh my gosh, this is awful. So we stayed at this place with Iron Man, and there were 3 of us in a room, and they knew buffalo wing hot sauce. But anyway, they knew there were 3 of us in the room, and they knew we were hikers. And I didn't go over to the breakfast that morning, but Nathan and Iron Man did, and they brought back food for me, and they had what did they have there?
I don't know. We had there was a couple muffins. I got one for everybody, a banana for everybody, and then like a couple apples and an orange or something. But it was basically all that they had there.
And we weren't the only guests, so even if we weren't hikers, that's really not enough. 3 muffins and 3 bananas and 2
I went
apples.
back there for seconds for everybody because on the trail you eat a lot of food.
You do.
And when I walked in there, the lady was there. I'm like, so there's no more food? She's like, yeah, someone came in here and grabbed it all. It's like, yeah, we did. And then we ate it.
And now we want
more.
Like we're paying. That hotel was actually one of the more expensive ones. It was about $100, but we were splitting it for 3 people.
And it was a weird situation, but okay, that was a rant. What are we doing now?
How much money? Okay, so Chrono Fire, what do you plan with the future of your channel, and are you planning any more big hikes together? So the big hikes together is really going to depend, on my schedule in the future. At first, when we ended the AT, I was adamant that I would never want to do it again, and then I was like, you know what? Spending a week in the woods wouldn't be bad. Oh, wait, spending a month in the woods wouldn't be bad. And now I'm kind of like, you know what? Let's just go spend 5 months in the woods because that's fun.
Yeah, when you're finishing up the trail, you feel like you'd never, ever, ever want to do it again, and very quickly it comes back. We talk to people that are like, it's contagious. We're like, yeah, whatever. It is contagious.
But now, I like a thru-hike. If I were to do a thru-hike again, I would really think that I would want to. The only thing I would change, really, is that we kind of put a little bit of pressure on ourselves. We didn't have to be done until the end of July, and we kept saying, at first it was, the first thing we thought was, oh, we're going to be done in June. We're going to finish in June. And then it was, well, maybe we'll be done by July 4th. No, maybe we'll be done by July 10th. We finished on July 12th. Yep. So,
but it was the time strain on the trip that
it just added a little bit of extra stress that we didn't need. If we knew that we had a little bit more time, then we could have just taken a few more 0 days. And 0 days to relax as opposed to 0 days due to weather or injury.
But let's get back to the actual question. So we won't be probably doing a big hike together anytime soon. No. The channel, I want to continue doing the 2 Katahdin videos until we get to Katahdin. Hey, spoiler alert, we made it. Just in case you didn't know, we've been there. But I want to finish the videos up through then. I'm not doing them very fast. I'm doing them just kind of slow, just because I like to go back through the footage, and Sharon and I get to kind of relive it together, along with her blog as well.
And I would love to write more often, but
she's in medical school.
It's hard to find the time, which is silly, but it still is hard.
Yeah. So
interviews, applications.
And then I want to continue with the gear reviews. I want to do a gear review on all the gear that I've taken on the trail, and then on more gear. I'd like to get more gear and do more hiking and stuff. So gear reviews are going to be something I'd like to keep. The Urban Hiker is going to be a slow project that I want to do. I want the Urban Hiker to be from very, I'm talking very beginner, someone that it's never hiked before and spends all of their time on the couch in their apartment. From very beginner up. It's going to be an ongoing project, and it's going to be videos that people can go to start to finish, you know. So that's going to be a slow project, and the videos, they're kind of hard for me to do in the city as well, so it's really loud, and I got to refilm things a lot. So, but I still want to do the Urban Hiker. I guess made that kind of long.
And tips for the trail. You've been wanting to get out to do those.
Yes, but there's no trails around here, so I definitely want to do tips from the trail again and cover a lot of the stuff. And I've wrote down a lot, and I've got a lot up here of the things
that... Yeah, a lot up here. See how big this thing is?
I have a huge head. But, yeah, the stuff that I experienced on the AT between... and the next ones I wanted to do was like stuff on the shelters, as opposed to tents, as opposed to like hammocks and stuff. I want to cover all that with the tips from the trail. It's not really gear, but it's tips for people through hiking or hiking and camping. So that's kind of, it goes over that. I also want to do more adventure kind of stuff. Like I like to take some of the stuff that I'm going to do on this rock climbing trip and try to film some of that and bring that out too, because that's going to be fun. And then continue to do gaming videos. I've got some buddies, and Chronofire, he's the one that asked the question. He's the guy that I play games with. You know, I think some people that are watching my videos for the hiking and stuff, I love it. I love that you watch the videos. I love doing the hiking videos. But, I don't know, what do you guys do for in your spare time? Like when you're done with work, you're done hiking, you're just relaxing, what do you do? I play video games, and I like to kind of share that. I got some nieces and nephews that have watched me do that, and I've played some...
He talks a lot.
I've played some games with them. So anyways, you're going to continue to see video game stuff on my channel. If it's not something that you're really interested in, then wait for the next hiking video, because those aren't going to stop. Definitely going to continue with that, but there will be those fluttered in there too. And when we get moved out of the city, I want to start doing videos on, you know, being more self-sustaining. And once I start, hopefully, you know, raising cattle and doing stuff like that, getting off the grid, I want to do a whole series on that too. So that's things to come. Get back into my wood shop and do more wood shop stuff.
We have a lot more questions.
Okay, next question.
Do yous even stunt? Yeah.
Do yous even stunt?
This is by Colane the Gamer.
Colane the Gamer. Do yous even stunt?
Yeah, we stunt.
Absolutely. I stunt all the time.
Actually, I don't want to say I stunt because I don't know what that means. Keep it fuzzy. You guys are awesome. Thanks. We're just keeping it fuzzy.
Oh, it's the name of the person was Keep It Fuzzy.
Yeah.
That's fun.
I love your videos. Do you have any hobbies aside from hiking? I like to write, which is why I decided to do the blog.
Let me write a list.
Nathan does anything under the sun you could ever think of. He's a juggler, a brewer of beer, he's a rock climber, he's a bowler, he plays pool, he does magic tricks, he is a woodworker, he does bees.
Beekeeping. It does bees makes it sound funny.
He does beekeeping. He has an apiary. Not really.
Grew up on a farm. I was a machinist for 10 years. So metalworking, welding. I remodeled my house and did the plumbing and the electrical and a lot of the carpentry work for that. It wasn't so much a remodel. I did pretty much a new build on parts of the house.
I'm more boring.
Anyways, so yeah, as for hobbies, lots and lots of hobbies.
I like to write. I don't necessarily love to be in the hospital, but I am a lot these days. I like to run. I played soccer all through my life until recently, until I started medical school. I was always on a team.
You put together a mean puzzle, honey.
Oh, I do. I love doing puzzles. I like puzzles.
Okay.
Rob Lansdale, what was your favorite trail town?
Ooh, we hated trail towns for a long time.
As the trail went on, trail towns were awful. We would always look forward to going there because it'd be like, oh, we can take a shower, we can wash our clothes, we can get food other than dehydrated meals, and we were always ready to leave.
Hopefully search for Wi-Fi to try to upload something.
Yeah, but we were always ready to leave.
But what was the first town that was, because there was some towns towards the end.
Yeah, we actually talked about favorite town visits, favorite town stays.
With Casey Kafferlin. But that really wasn't a town, though. We just stayed with her.
No, we actually got picked up and we were driven 30 or 40 minutes off trail, so.
I liked the last one that we were in where we stayed above that bar in Maine. What town is that?
The one right before the 100-mile wilderness. I think it starts with an A. Oh.
Abington?
It was at Monson, Maine.
Monson?
Yeah, Abington is like around here.
I just said a name.
I think it was Monson.
She said it started with an A.
It's the trail that's right in the southern, or the town that's right in the southern part of the 100-mile wilderness.
And that was fun.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of another town. I like Daleville.
Oh, Daleville was good. It was right after we got engaged.
The Flying Mouse Brewery.
We went to a brewery that night. We stayed in a hotel room with Stretch the first night, and then with Eddie and her family the second night. It was just kind of a relaxing day. Days in trail towns kind of, you always thought you'd be able to do so much. You know, you always thought, okay, I'm going to upload a blog, I'm going to start writing the next one, Nathan's going to upload a video and edit a few more, and stuff just always built up. You know, we also wanted to talk to our families, and then we had to resupply, and then we wanted to sleep and take a shower and do laundry
and rest.
Eat, and then rest, and then eat, and then rest, and then eat, and then rest.
And then eat again.
And
then rest.
And,
so I guess towns tend to overall be very exciting to think about while hiking, but then when you get in there, things happen so fast that it's almost disappointing. And they never quite live up to your expectations. And a couple of the big ones, like Damascus, was a letdown.
I just thought of another one, though. That was good.
Okay, and then also Hot Springs. These are some of the towns at the beginning that were kind of letdowns. And not for any particular reason, probably because in Damascus I had shin splints. So it really wasn't the town's fault, it's just I was mad at myself for pushing too hard. But anyways, a good one. What was another good one?
We didn't stay in this town whatsoever. We walked through it, which took us 5 minutes at the most. Boiling Springs, Pennsylvania.
Ooh, it was very pretty.
It was very pretty, and it seemed like a nice little town.
The trails were nice.
And, you know, we thought, hey, this is right on the AT, and there's, like, hospitals nearby. This could be our future home. We'll see if that ever works out. It was kind of just a fantasy at that point.
Is this my
semi close to our hometown. I mean, you know, 5 hours away from our home, and on the AT. And we didn't even spend any time in that town. But I would say that was our favorite. Okay.
Next question.
Sierra Wind / Sierra Wind.
Where's my water?
I don't know. You've been drinking my juice.
I know. I don't want to drink your juice anymore.
I just wanted to say thanks for sharing your adventure. What a great way to spend the summer, and what a great thing to share on YouTube, making the world a better place. Thanks. That's a good goal. Make the world a better place.
You're welcome. Water.
Stephen Groves. One piece of gear you thought you would need but ended up never using. What did we send home?
I will say this. We did a pretty great job in preparing. So there wasn't a whole lot of stuff that
we sent home. But one thing we did change and ended up sending home was we changed our food cooking system along the trail.
That's true.
We had a jet boil, which we always just boiled water in, and we never added anything to it.
Because they become, if you don't cook right, you can burn your food inside the jet boil. They're hard to clean out. If not cleaning out right, you can, get bacteria, you can get sick. So the best way is definitely to boil your water in your jet boil and then use something else to either mix the hot water with.
And then food odor, too. We didn't want to put food odor in our jet boil because then we couldn't just sit it out beside our heads if we were sleeping in a shelter, or if we were hanging a bear bag, that would have to go in it. So all we did was boil water in our jet boil. And then at the beginning, we had these two, like, Tupperware containers that we would pour that we have our food in. We'd pour the boiling water into and then stir up, and then we'd eat out of these containers. Well, Eddie introduced us to Ziploc freezer bag cooking. So instead of our containers, we would just pour the boiling water into freezer bags that had our food in it, mix it up, and just eat straight out of the bags. That saved a little bit of room in our packs, and
it made the whole overall duty of cooking and cleaning easier.
A lot less cleanup.
There's nothing I wanted to do less than get in the tent, get comfortable, cook food, eat food, and then have to get up and get outside and clean things. I mean, it was bad enough having to hang the bear bags when we did and stuff, which we didn't. We did a lot and didn't do some and stuff. So, but this would gave us the ability to not do that.
And towards the end of the trip, you never used your puffer, your down jacket. I kind of stopped using mine as well, but I would say that I was never at the, like, I always liked to, even on something like a thru hike where you're watching the weight that you're carrying, have one layer of clothing extra than you really think you need. So even in Maine, when it was, still 60 degrees, 70 degrees at night, I still had a long sleeve shirt, a tank top, a short sleeve shirt, a long sleeve shirt, a fleece, and my down jacket. I so could have gotten rid of the down jacket, but I didn't, because that was my extra, if my fleece gets wet, if my long sleeve gets wet, just an extra emergency. We kind of looked at it as part of our first aid kit, having our down jackets the whole time.
Here's something that we took with us that we didn't use as much. We did use, but we ended up getting rid of it, and I think that we wouldn't need it. We bought silk liners for our sleeping bags.
Oh, no, that's true. That's true.
Silk liners, because you want to keep the dirt and the debris and the dust and stuff and just the overall sweatiness out of your bag. If you do, you're going to end up sticking to it and it becomes very uncomfortable. So what we did instead is found more comfortable sleeping clothes and actually had a sleeping layer. I had a pair of fleece pants. Sharon had a tighter fitting, like, fleece stretchy
yeah, they're like
pants.
leggings, but they're fleece
leggings. Yeah. And actually having something to sleep in that you didn't typically hike in gave you something to put on that was relatively cleaner. Because you did do laundry once a week or so it was relatively cleaner, and we did have 27 days in a row without doing laundry, but also allowed you to move around in your sleeping bag without sticking to it. So, and a lot of people say use silk liners. They work to a point, but then you still get kind of claustrophobic in them.
And especially for us, because we zipped our sleeping bags together, it was kind of awkward to be in the same sleeping bag, but in different
bags,
like silk liner sacks. It was just weird. So yeah, we sent those home.
That's something that we
sent home.
We did not use.
Okay.
One piece of gear you thought you would need, but you ended up never using. But other than that, there's really we really used everything that we took. We planned very well for this. But we planned for 15 months. We planned for a long time. There was things that were sentimental that we took with us that we didn't really ever need. I took a multi-tool that I didn't really need to have. I could have got away with just a knife, but there was a number of times that I used the pliers on them. So it was a little bit of extra weight, but I did use it.
Scissors, yeah. Okay.
Never mind my lucky comment. What was the lucky comment?
Remember the ring?
Oh.
Go back down.
I'm sorry. What's the North Country Trail?
But we have to say his name. Matanuska.
That's Kanuska High.
Matanuska High.
Okay, so the North Country Trail is a trail that runs from the Dakotas all the way across the north part of the country and up and past and through New York State, and
it might end in New York, but it might go past.
It's actually the longest trail.
It's like 4,000 miles.
It's 4,600 miles, actually. 4,600 miles.
But the problem with it is
it's unfinished.
It's unfinished. So there's huge chunks that are road miles.
There's a 500-mile stretch of just roads where the trail hasn't been connected all the way, and in order to get from one part to the other, You have to.
It actually
walk
runs
roads.
relatively close to where we're from. So to prepare for the Appalachian Trail, we did 100 miles on the North Country Trail.
115, did we?
We did. We did 115 miles on a North Country Trail.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say our our first
no
day
cap.
was in the woods entirely. And there might have been a day or day and a half in the middle where we were in the woods. But even, I mean, where we were, it was a lot of bike path, big chunks of road.
And basically, it's because it's such a new trail.
It is. It's very new.
If you hear people talk about the Appalachian Trail changes every year. I actually had a conversation with somebody on the trail about, and he was an older gentleman that hiked it 15 years ago. And I said, "Oh yeah, you guys had it hard back then. You know, we got it easy now." And he says, "No." He says, if anything, the trail's getting harder every year because they want to bring it, like the North Country Trail runs through a lot of towns and on bike paths and stuff. They keep wanting to make the Appalachian Trail more wild and bring it away from the towns. Now, when you're hiking the trail, it's farther to get into towns. And also they say, oh, isn't it pretty up there? Let's make it hike to the top of that ridge. So the trail actually gets physically harder because they keep wanting to hike to these overlooks and explore new paths for views. And then they bring it away from the towns so that it's more wild and opposed to running. He said when he did it, the Appalachian Trail always was running through small towns. You didn't have to worry about getting supplies because you always walked through the towns. So that's where the North Country Trail's at. You're always walking through towns. They haven't got it established enough to bring it into the woods yet. There's a lot that goes with it. They have to get permission from landowners and stuff, and we won't go into all that. But
speaking of woods,
that's North Country Trail.
Charlie Wood asks, do you guys still like ice cream? Ice cream has been and always will be my favorite dessert.
We haven't had, since we've been in Philadelphia, we got one ice cream cone, but we made ice cream once, and we've gotten ice cream maybe a couple times.
Yeah, the problem with me is that I don't like to keep ice cream in the house because if I do, I will eat it. And I'm not just talking like, oh, I'll have a bowl of ice cream. I'm like, no, I'll sit down and eat ice cream, and I will finish it within 24 hours. Not all in one sitting because we all learned our lesson from the half-gallon challenge. But yes, ice cream all the way.
Okay, Chris Hughes, so...
You guys and Gator Miller were awesome. One of my favorite clips was on Gator's video when both of you came walking into a shelter and I think he said, how we doing? Or something like that. Gator talks hilariously.
Gator, he is such a fun person to be around.
And that clip would have been when it was like at that point, that was our longest day yet. It was our first 15-mile day. It was probably our first double-digit day. And we started on Blue Mountain.
That's the clip of our video where we walked in and Gator goes, "What's up?"
Yeah.
He's talking about Gator's video. On Gator's video, when you both came walking in, and that was into one of the shelters in the Smokies.
Okay, well. He was still cool in the Smokies, too.
Gator was great. I wish we could have hiked with him more, and I think it was the shin splints that slowed me down at the beginning that really gave him the gap that we could never make up. So it's too bad. Maybe someday, well, Sharon's being a doctor, she'll let me go hike the PCT with Gator. Gator, I want to hike the PCT.
Sierra Wind / Sierra Wind asks, do you feel the need to carry self-defense from scary people? I brought him. No, it's actually, I mean, maybe it was because I lived in Philadelphia that I thought the woods would be a lot less scary than the city, and it is.
It really is.
People always talk about, oh, there's murders on the trail. Think about how many murders have been committed in the past 50 years on a trail and compare it to any town. The
trail is statistically safer than you are at your house, or not maybe at your house, but that you are in your normal life. You're more you have a better chance of getting into a car wreck and getting injured than you do on the trail. And if you bring self-defense, if you bring a knife or something, you're going to use it to open your ramen noodles. You're not going to use it. You're not really ever going to need that. We talked earlier in this stream about hiking alone and that just using your judgment, you will be able to tell the people that you don't need to be around, and you can just keep yourself from being around them. I wouldn't recommend anybody, taking any kind of knife or gun and as far as guns
For self-defense purposes.
with
A knife.
permits and stuff like that. Yeah, for a knife, use a little knife that you can open up stuff with. But I really don't believe that you need.
Yeah. I mean, Gator took bear spray because his mother really wanted him to, and I think he carried it the whole way.
He did, but I think he carried it as a goof.
Yeah. I would say that, when you think about it, when you're out in the middle of the woods, someone else who had to travel that far out into the middle of the woods isn't going to try to steal your stuff because they would have to carry it out, and they have their own stuff. I mean, and if they try to mess with you, kind of like we were saying, just go with your gut. And if you have to night hike for a couple hours to set up your tent somewhere else, do it. If you have to wake up a couple hours early to get away from someone, do it. Mm-hmm. I don't think anyone, on our trip, no one posed a physical threat to us whatsoever.
Yeah.
But it was because I had this stunning, huge head next to me.
You're scared away from the cranium. Okay.
Good morning to Zarathros.
Good morning.
He must be from somewhere else.
Yeah, he's from another planet.
Or she.
And the sun's coming up on their planet now.
Alan Lyons points out that Gator kept walking to Canada, which he did.
Mm-hmm,
So
he did.
That could potentially be why his mom wasn't around for the trail magic when we got to New Hampshire. Although I think he wasn't quite... I think he hadn't summited Katahdin yet when we were in New Hampshire.
That's true. He hadn't... and I was in contact with his mom as we were going, and it was just a bad... I think the days
just worked out wrong, and since we had 2 days of trail magic at the Vermont-New Hampshire border... I mean, it would have been great to meet her and appreciated, but, we didn't need it. Spread the wealth. Sierra, again, does the water on a trail have scary stuff in it, like meth lab waste? We filtered everything. I never noticed any meth labs. Yet again, I've never seen one.
There's nuclear pond. I wouldn't drink
it.
I wouldn't drink out of nuclear pond.
Yeah, or go swimming in it because someone did and they came out with an extra arm attached.
Yeah, I don't think, like Sharon said, we filtered everything that we drank on the trail. For the most part, it seems very clear and crisp. It's coming from the mountains. We still filtered it through some of the drier parts of the trail in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and into New York and stuff. The water gets a little bit colored. They say it's from
New
the
Jersey,
tannins.
New York, yeah. It's
the tannins in the trees.
Looking.
It turns it brown. And the filters really don't take that out either. So you still have that. But yeah, I don't think there's meth lab
and
stuff in there.
For the most part, you can. I mean, there were several water sources that we had planned to get water at, and we came up to and we said, you know what, let's go for the next one instead.
Good guidebook. You'll know where the water sources are. You'll be surprised at other places to get water. I did a little video on the water as well. I mean, there's a lot of places.
Not meth lab juice, but moose poop. Once you get into like New Hampshire, Maine.
Mooses poop everywhere.
You have to make sure you're not getting it from a moose poop pile.
Poopy moose.
16 hot dogs. Oh dear God. I think
$4. That's where you should be more surprised. $4.
Yeah, but I don't think we ever got to 16. I think we did the 8, and we each ate 4, but then we also each ate a bag of chips.
And they were chili cheese dogs.
They were chili cheese dogs.
So we did. This is amazing. That was at Kinkora Hostel with Bob Peoples. So you had 8 hot dogs, 8 hot dog buns, can of chili, can of weird creamy cheese sauce, and make chili cheese dogs, eat a whole bag of Lay's potato chips, and a half gallon of ice cream. Well, not even a full half gallon. We gave some to Orange Crush, who he was
why he was the very first finisher this year, even though he started in March, because we gave him some of our ice cream at Kinkora.
It was our ice cream that took Orange Crush to Katahdin to be the first one there this year. It was because of us. Up top. Never stop.
Yeah.
Okay.
LOL meth lab waste. It's true.
Why is
it could be a true concern.
I clicked that down.
Okay. John Couch. What are some places that were expensive to resupply in? I have heard Fontana Dam is expensive. Fontana Dam is expensive. Mm-hmm. There's nowhere to stay. I mean, you can stay in the Fontana Dam Hotel, the shelter.
That damn hotel.
Is that they call it the Hilton, the shelter? I don't know.
There's the Fontana Hilton, but there was also the hotel.
Yeah. So the shelter's supposed to be really nice, but we got there too early. We got there too early and the showers weren't turned on, and we had planned to go into the town anyway because we had a mail drop there. There's really nowhere to resupply. If we hadn't gotten our mail drop, let's see. I think we got it on a Monday night, and I thought you were giving me bunny ears or something.
Just relax and just chilling out,
We got it on a Monday night, And we wanted to go get ice cream because we love ice cream. And we asked someone at the front desk how to get down to the ice cream shop, and she said, it won't be open again until like Wednesday or Thursday. And we said, oh. And she said, yeah, the gas station is closed until later on in the week too. So if you don't get there on the right day of the week and you're a little bit in the off season, there will be nowhere to get food. So Fontana Dam. Another.
I was gonna interject really quick. Expect most food on this trail to be expensive. When you're looking through your guidebook, even when it says a full resupply, a lot of times it's out of a gas station. There are going to be a lot fewer times than you expect that you're going to really be able to get into like a grocery store or someplace, a Save-A-Lot or something that you're going to be able to get decent prices on food. A lot of times your resupplies are going to come from, like I said, gas stations or small Appalachian Trail stores. Those are stores that people put there, and yeah, they take advantage of the thru-hikers, and they know that that's the only place they can get food. Prices on food near the trail tend to be more expensive almost everywhere.
I would say that really started at the very end of Pennsylvania through New York. We got a couple, that was all the gas station places, which always frustrated me when it said full resupply and we'd walk in and it'd be a gas station.
She wants everything to be a deal.
Well, no, but and then the gas station would have like one jar of peanut butter, and
they don't put prices on anything.
Yeah, they don't put prices on it, which makes it really hard to get the best calories for your buck. But anyway,
that's how you buy calories.
I mean, it's not a full resupply because what if there were two groups of hikers? They only stock one jar of peanut butter. Anyway, I mean, we never ran into that. Well, actually, I think we did run into that problem a few times where they just didn't have basic hiker goods, but we were always able to make it work. But I would say Fontana Dam, Harper's Ferry.
Oh,
we
it's
didn't
touristy.
resupply there, but it's very touristy. What did we do? I guess we got food. Oh, on the way into Harper's Ferry, we went off trail for a full market, but it was a gas station.
Was it the Appalachian Trail Market?
No, that was in New York. And then the end of
close.
Pennsylvania through New Jersey is expensive. New York is expensive. And then we started getting mail drops again, which in the north it's harder to get off trail for any mail drops. Like down south it's like, oh, there's a hostel 0.3 of a mile off the trail and they'll even come get you if you want them to. In the north it's like 8 miles to the nearest town.
Here's another thing that a lot of people don't, I don't know if a lot of people do, because people run that line of, I'm doing mail drops, or I'm not doing mail drops. I'm doing mail drops, I'm not doing. You can do both, which is kind of what we did.
I think a lot of people did both. Eddie got some mail drops and also
Never mind,
got
I'm wrong.
stuff. Lucky got a few mail drops when he had to.
What I meant by that was you can buy certain stuff on the trail, but stuff you know that's going to be expensive.
Yeah.
You can buy in bulk at home and have that expensive stuff, like your granola bars, stuff like that is going to be very expensive almost no matter where you get them. It's even expensive in a store. The only way to get a good deal on that stuff is to buy it in bulk and buy it ahead of time. I think is a good way of doing it. You don't have to buy everything, but just to think of some of those things that you're going to eat a lot of to buy ahead of time.
Mm-hmm. We made a lot of granola bars for ourselves. That was good.
All right, next question. It is right now 9:45. I think that we're going to cut this short at 2 hours. That's a long time. This has been a lot of fun. I'm really glad to see all the people here asking questions. It makes me very excited. Yes. And hopefully we can schedule this and do it again.
In November.
We'll do another 15 minutes, and we're going to go through and try to make the answers quicker.
Okay. Randy Chadwick, was the AT as crowded as people seem to suggest? I love hiking, but not in a crowd. It was hit or miss. In the beginning, since we were pretty early, it was usually just weekends where we would see a few people, and then it started getting into we'd also see people during the week. I think spring break, like when we went through the Smokies, which was only about a month into our trip, we had a lot of spring breakers. And then it also depended on the weather. If it was rainy, you wouldn't see any day hikers out. If it was beautiful, you would see a lot. So, and touristy areas. New Jersey always had a lot of people.
Yeah. You're looking for touristy areas, and then I think that you get clumps in the end and the beginning of the trail, because thru hikers, everybody wants to start and not very many people finish. So when it's the height of the season in Georgia, It is. We heard that on like April 1st is one of the biggest days, and it's like 100 people left on the same day. So yes, the AT is as crowded as people say it is, and it gets. I imagine, and we didn't see a lot of it because we left so early, but I imagine it gets as bad at the shelters and the privies and stuff as people say. I suggest for anybody that's going to do a thru hike, as much as a flip-flop is unappealing for a lot of reasons, a flip-flop is there to avoid the crowds. Also, Sobo, but that's getting more popular. Really,
leaving early, but that's getting more popular.
Leaving early is getting more popular, but leaving early I don't think will ever be as popular. We had 0-degree temperature nights. We had we wore crampons for weeks because it was ice in the mountains. That's never going to be as popular as a flip-flopper going Sobo. No one's going to deal with that extreme cold at the beginning. And maybe not all years are going to be as bad as this last year was. But I think to avoid the crowds, definitely leave early or Sobo flip-flop, because during the height of the season, it is going to be very crowded.
Okay.
For sure.
1903A3 Shooter, a very technical name, and you want to know how far from the trail do we live. Right now we're in Philadelphia, so we're about an hour and a half from the trail.
Originally about 4.5 hours or so. We never stepped foot on the AT until we hit the approach trail in Amicola State Park. Never had we ever walked a step of the AT.
Up Trail 71. How many drop-off points did you have? I just got back from a meeting and hope to see the beginning later. Yes, this will be posted, so you'll be able to watch the whole 2 hours. Oh my gosh.
Over and over and over again.
I don't know for sure. I would, if I were guess, I would say around 15 or 20 mail drops.
Yeah, around 50. I don't know if we got as many as 20.
We didn't plan them ahead of time. We would,
every week
I would look into the book and say, okay, this is where we're buying food today, so when is the next time we're going to buy food? How much food do we need to buy right now? And if there wasn't a good spot to buy food, then I would say, okay, where are we going to get our next drop, or a mail drop in the next 4 or 5 days? So I can look into that, and I can try to provide a list of exact mail drops.
But it really wasn't.
But it's going to depend on how fast you go, how far you go, how far you're willing to go off trail, and how much you're willing to spend.
And our mail drops were basically that process of elimination. Just like Sharon said, we would find out where we were going and how long it was going to take to get there, and how much food we had to get to this destination. Do we get a mail drop or do we buy food? Well, can we buy food? And yes, we can, but there's a mail drop here. It's all of that, and that's why I suggested earlier in the stream to say having somebody at a home base, having somebody at home to communicate with, to package mail drops. Don't put everything together. And this is the one that I send to myself here, and I send it to myself here on this date. You're never going to be able to live up to that. As like I said in the beginning, be flexible. And one thing to keep yourself flexible is the ability to.
Sorry, I'm reading this. I'm not listening to you. I know that stuff.
One thing to help yourself be flexible is the ability to adjust your schedule and adjust your plans. So to have somebody to where you say, you know something, I could just get food here, but I could get a 2-day mail drop. Send a message, have them send you a 2-day mail drop or a 4-day mail drop. You know, to have that flexibility, I think, is key instead of trying to plan everything out. Next.
Okay. Go up a little bit because I think someone just posted one. Okay. Chris Hughes saved my life. Maybe the trail town in Maine was Andover. You are absolutely correct.
Andover. That's what I said.
No, you said Arlington. You said Abington.
That's not true.
I said it started with an A. Okay. Jamie Krafik. What was your pack weight at the beginning and the end, and how much of that was electronics? So in the beginning, Nate carried the electronics, and in the end, I carried the electronics.
Electronics bag was 3 pounds, I think. I think we had 3
and
pounds
we clumped it all together. I mean, minus our cell phones, which we each individually
Electronics stayed.
He carried the camera. Yeah, we kept all of our electronics.
Electronics all stayed. We
actually added a few SD cards to it, but those...
Yeah, we ended up, because towards the end, the little device that I was using to transfer the stuff from the SD card to my phone to edit it to post the videos, that device
That's a later question.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway.
Oh, wait.
So, my pack weight at the beginning, I have it written down so I know exactly, but I think it was 35 pounds and you were 38 pounds.
I was 38 pounds.
When we signed into Amicola. When we ended, I would say that depending on how many days of food we had with us, I was going between 30 and 40. Usually between 30 and 35. I would only say 40 because at the very end we carried 7 days of food.
Yeah.
When we weighed ourselves, I was 40. Okay, anyway.
When we weighed ourselves, you were 40 pounds at a couple of the times, but
yeah, well, I would say
while,
30 to 40, but mainly 30 to 35.
25 to 35.
25 if I wasn't carrying any food, which I carried all the food.
It fluctuates so
anyway,
much with
so
food.
we'll just say around 30. Around 30 pounds for me, and around 35 pounds for him, up to 45 pounds. So my 10-pound range would be 25 to 35, and yours would be 35 to 45.
And that's a really good way to put it.
So I lost a little bit of weight, and you gained a little bit of weight.
In our packs. You'd be surprised. I think that this discussion, and I'm going to go into this very briefly because it's kind of my own little opinion on pack weight and stuff. This whole idea of ultralight and the pack weight is really good, and I would like to try to do some ultralight hiking, but when it comes to a thru hike's all up here. If you want a thru hike with a 50-pound pack, you're going to thru hike with a 50-pound pack. It's going to be what it's going to be. If you want to carry anything, if you want to carry it and put it on your pack, your body will get used to the weight, and you can carry it if you want to carry it. It may be a little bit more strenuous on you in certain spots, but your body, over time, you're hiking so much that if it's a little more strenuous, your muscles are just going to get stronger. You will be able to do it. So I always caution people to eliminate too much stuff. And again, this is the flexibility thing. You can eliminate it on the trail, and a lot of people do that as well. But it doesn't always matter to have the lightest pack, and that's why I think our packs didn't really get any lighter. We changed some equipment out over the time, but we didn't really ever cut a lot of weight.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We both go, okay.
Pronounced Matanuska. Haha, it is a valley in Alaska where I live. Matanuska.
Matanuska.
But it's a valley, but you're high. Gotcha.
Okay.
Jaw wants to know, how's it going, Viking brother and sister? Greetings from Sweden. I had a question. If you could, would you try to hike the Swedish west coast? It's the most beautiful part of Sweden, obviously. Yes.
I will do it tomorrow if you get me a plane ticket. Okay, I won't do it tomorrow. But no,
I would
absolutely.
do it over Christmas break if you got me a plane ticket.
How long is it? That's a good question.
That's true.
But I would love to travel, especially to see Jaw in Sweden. Absolutely.
All right, we'd do it.
We're doing it.
Stephen Groves thanks us. Alan Lyons, this is what I was laughing at. PSA, hey folks, don't eat 16 hot dogs for dinner. Very good point. No one should do that.
No one should.
No one should. Okay, Chris Hughes, and plus or minus his wife. When and how did you do all the video editing on the trail? Did you use your phone? How did you store all that footage? You have 30 seconds.
Okay, I used SD cards, and I ended up with, I think, 5 of them. Mm-hmm. They're 32 gigabyte SD cards. That's how I stored. I took the video with a Nikon Coolpix. This is shockproof, waterproof SD card. Freeze-proof. I used a iPhone with the Pinnacle Studios app for all of the editing and the uploading. It was like a $9 app. I had at the beginning this very nice device here that is an SD card reader that I could plug into my phone to take the pictures from the SD card and put them on my phone, edit them, post them to YouTube for you guys. This device works with an app on my iPhone. That app was updated, and when it was updated, I found out that this was a knockoff device, and the app was updated so that this device no longer worked, became worthless. That's why the video stopped partway through the hike. But that is how we did it. SD cards from a camera to the phone, editing software on the phone. I spent hours at night on this phone in the tent.
It was usually at night. It was always at night.
Was
or
that
I guess
30
in the
seconds?
morning.
I did pretty good.
It was a little bit more because it was 56 something and now it's almost 58.
You just wasted time there.
Good night, guys. Night, Chaz, Charlie, Chuck,
Charlie.
Charles.
Hey, if this works out, we can do this more often. It'd be great to chat more.
With one more question. What about starting later to avoid crowds? Stuck between a mid-late May start or an early June Sobo. If you want to go Sobo, or if you want to do a flip-flop, starting later works great. And you can avoid the cold weather. Who wouldn't start later? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it just doesn't necessarily work for Nobo if you're doing it all in one go. or if you think it's going, you only have until October 15th.
Yes, and when going no boat, and that's going to go right along with something I said earlier. When setting goals or deadlines, you can really run into issues.
So I guess technically we could have started in the middle of May and still made it by October 15th. But
you'd
then,
be pressing all of the
and
time.
That just is a little bit
and it
less
can get very
fun.
hard.
Yeah.
It can get very hard. So always be aware of that when choosing your start date, that you do give yourself enough time and not really pushing towards it. And we almost saw a time thing tear two hikers apart when one was trying to finish with Tadpole. You guys probably know him as Shitfoot. Why not? Why not? They both were hiking together, and actually, if they would have stayed together, it would have never worked. But they eventually ended up splitting up. Tadpole finished in June. Why not finished,
just
a
recently,
month ago?
In September or October. In September, I think.
So that's how much difference. And it was almost a bad thing with the time.
We have
there.
19 seconds. Bye, everyone. No, I'm just kidding. We won't end it right at 2 hours.
It doesn't matter. We have 57.
When will you cut the beard? Believe it or not, he already has. And he doesn't plan on cutting it.
I'm going to grow it a little bit more.
Yeah.
It's fun. I got married, and I cut it when I got married. But what's this? Okay, avoid the crowds. Thank you for following along on your journey. John, thank you.
Keep it fuzzy.
Keep it fuzzy. Thanks.
You.
Nice. When you cut the beard. Thanks, guys, for the great info.
Thanks for the show.
You're welcome, guys. Okay, just to wrap it
Chaz,
up.
Chuck, Charlie, Charles, CW. C-dubs.
It's fun. C-dubs. Okay, perfect. So this has been great. We appreciate everything and all you guys watching the videos and stuff. We're going to continue doing videos, continue doing hiking videos, and continue leaving us feedback and asking us more questions. We'll try to do our best, and then this has turned out great. Maybe we'll schedule to do this at the end of the month as a little monthly thing we do. Live questions and answers.
Josh says, "Thanks for promising to come to Sweden." And then he says, "Whoa, sorry, I didn't mean to be that excited about it." But you're welcome.
Okay.
Bye. We'll see you
Bye-bye.
next time, but we really won't see you. You'll see us.
Yeah, you see us. We don't see you. How do I shut this thing off? Bye. Bye. Keep saying bye until I figure out how to shut it off.
See ya. Sayonara.
Goodbye.
Ciao.
Au revoir. Auf Wiedersehen.
Have a good day. Later, Gator. After a while, Crocodile.